Hi, I don't know if anyone can hear me or see me. I can still see you. You can see, brilliant. Okay, right. Well, it's easy for me. You've both got disabilities that took a while to determine what you had. Your disabilities weren't obvious to people, but you can see from me. I don't know if you can see. I'm actually a paraplegic. I had my accident when I was 20, and I'm now the same age as you. I am 55, so I'm going to be 56 this year, so good year to be born in. So a little bit about We Care Home and Away and a little bit about my business. So if I just say good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. If you can see my eyes darting all over the place, it's because many years ago I was used to presenting to large audiences, and now all of a sudden I find myself behind a screen and it's all very alien to me. So excuse me if I'm looking from one side to another. But anyway, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My work experience is varied, but based on what I've observed is needed and lacking in society. And to begin with, work for women has traditionally been the best part driven by need to parent, to provide a nice home, to provide that nurturing, that place, that place for our husbands, going back years and years and years, I'm saying, but it's always been that place. So in my career, the same has applied. It's to look to something that provides that nurturing. So I got into work through volunteering, and like the story I just heard a moment ago, I rocked up at the benefits office, as it was then, or the job centre, or jobs, I think it was Job Centre, Job Seeker Plus, and presented myself, having just had my motorbike accident, and said, can I please have a job? And they turned around to me and said, job? We don't give jobs to people in wheelchairs, we give you benefits. And that absolutely hit me between the eyes. Benefits meant what? The benefit to me as a person, or the benefit to me as somebody who could accept me as on their payroll. What does the word benefit mean? But to them, it very much meant to give me benefits, handouts. And I'm not against anybody that accepts or is in receipt of any form of disability pension. Absolutely not. We paid into the system, it's there for you. But for me, it was something that I never wanted my son to see me do, was to sit and just do nothing. It's not in me to do nothing. I wanted to do something. So for me, getting into work was through the volunteer route. So I think the common thread with going into volunteering for me was, previously I'd been in a community where we were all paraplegics, we were all on wheels. Suddenly going into the volunteering community, and I was part of the Malden District Access Group, which was involved with making the environment accessible to people with wheelchairs, people who were deaf, people who were blind, people who had challenges in pan disability. Suddenly I was introduced to people who were pan disability themselves. And by that, I mean a whole range of disabilities. And what made us all common, what united us all, was it was not our disability, it was our ability. And what did we want to do? None of us worked. We all wanted to work. We didn't know how to work. We didn't know how to get to that stage. But we were all bored in the interim, the time where we weren't working with the access group as volunteers. We wanted to do something else. So 6 of us sat in a room together and literally said, okay, we've got this room that the council have given us. We've got someone making us tea. We've got a telephone. What do we want to do? So I pushed to the local adult education centre and asked them, please, could you move some of the classes downstairs so that we can have access to some of the classes, some of the courses, some of the activities. Now, I'm going back to 1986, when at that time, not everywhere was accessible, education being one of those places. So rather than them moving the courses and classes down to us, or down for us, they said, no, we will come to you. Now, bearing in mind, there were 6 people in this room, and the adult and the principal there of the college saying to us, what did we want to do? We had to come up with some ideas pretty quickly. So we went to stress management and relaxation, IT, stitch and bitch, or knit and natter, interwork skills, and numeracy and literacy. And that's how we started out, just with those classes. Word spread, a little article was done in the newspaper, and slowly but surely that snowballed. At the end of those few weeks, we went back to the Adult Education Centre and the Vice Principal and said, okay, there's now 20 of us, as there were then. We've gone from 6. Can we expand? No, I'm sorry, but you've had your X amount of weeks. Our project is done. Well, you can't leave us. There are more of us. There are more people interested. So we decided amongst us, actually it was myself that was nominated, to write grant applications, to appeal for funding, and we became a centre in our own right. So we went from having 6 people in that room in 18 years to having 250 service users. I personally had the opportunity to gain a teaching qualification, work in health and social care, gained valuable experience in major funding, and was able to host numerous events. You wouldn't think of it now because I'm very rusty, but I did back then, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I turned that little tiny charity into a successful business. But my disability did hold me back. And working those hours was detrimental to my mental health and my physical well-being. And it put me into hospital. And I had numerous surgeries for pressure sores. I had numerous surgeries following problems with my shoulders and various bits dropping off, all the rest of it. I had sepsis 4 times. I was taken into ICU because I had pulmonary pneumonia, and it just burnt me out. So 10 years later, I go back to the title of tonight's subject, Women with Disabilities, consistently helping others who haven't let their disabilities hold them back. And my advice is forget women in disabilities. This goes to anyone, regardless of age, ethnicity, colour, race, gender. Find a support. Find a mentor. Career volunteer is the same thing. Choose a subject that excites and interests you. And if you get that support and that career motivation, nothing will hold you back, because it hasn't held us back. All us ladies have the same motivation, but you need that support. And that's my advice to anybody. So my new venture, I go back to all those things that motivated me 30 years plus, and I started We Care Home Away, which supports expats in France. Why? Because I've got a parent who lives in France, and he is in the last stages of Alzheimer's. And seeing that he couldn't speak any word of French and his health was deteriorating, luckily he got into the system where he was supported, and he has got a fantastic band of carers that look after him, but not everybody is that fortunate. And if I could tell you the amount of stories, the horror stories that I hear on a daily basis of people phoning me and saying, please can you come and get a carer to look after my mum because dad's fallen down the stairs and mum's got Parkinson's disease. I have carers throughout Normandy, and I'm always recruiting more, and I manage my business from the UK. So now we're expanding, and this is the really exciting bit, because we're at that point where it's easier for me to work in the UK than it is for me to move to France. It's easier because I'm not micromanaging, and I trust my team to do their job well. And I can do the nitty-gritty bits here whilst I leave them to do the care job that they do so well in France. So in addition to expanding We Care Home and Away, we're also developing an EPAD, which is another word for a care home, and a leisure and tourism pan-disability. Why, you ask? Because I'm still consistently helping others. Disability is not a special condition of a few. It's ordinary, and it affects most of us for some part of our lives. It's well recorded fact that people with disabilities make up the world's largest minority group. According to the World Report on Disability 2011, 15% of the world lives with disability. Everyone should have the same opportunity to explore the world, to relax, to reset, to rehabilitate. It is not so much that we are disabled, but that the world around us disables us. To achieve genuine inclusion without involving the voices of the people with disabilities, not just the UK, is essentially that we include the people internationally. So from the young to the not so young, from the able to the not so able, We Care Home and Away are building an all-inclusive resort because my ability to succeed is stronger than my disability. And I know I haven't spoken for the full 15 minutes, and I know that everybody else had longer than I had to speak, but I felt it was important that we had that opportunity. So I trimmed mine as I've been listening to everybody else to allow people to ask questions, because it seemed to me that the inspirational women that have spoken tonight, who have got hidden disabilities, I am at an advantage. You can see I'm on wheels. When I go into a room, it's obvious. And I think with any disability, I think it's important that we all support one another. And I think regardless of disability, as I said before, my advice is forget women with disabilities. This goes to anyone of age, race, gender, or ethnicity. Find that support and mentor. Career volunteer, same thing. Choose a subject that excites and interests you. And if you've got that support, that career motivation, nothing will hold you back. So Scott, I'm going to hand back to you. And thank you for allowing me to waffle on.
Thank you very much, Julia. Can people hear me now?